G'day listeners, welcome to Bar Karate, the sailing podcast. My name's Jordan Spencer and it's that time of the week where we get to hang out with some really cool sailors, but unfortunately I have to share it with my two idiot mates. And I will say this week we have one of the greatest of all time. We are very excited. First off, let's bring in Mr. Brett Perry.
Greetings, exalted one.
How are you, bud?
Yeah, good, mate. Sorry about that. A bit ahead of cue, but I just couldn't help myself.
Fair enough. We don't care. We run loose and wide here. Any sailing this week, mate?
No, not this week. It's been. I've had actually enjoyed some time off, even though it's been beautiful weather here. And Easter is always busy with the family. You know how it is.
Well, you wouldn't have had time to go sailing given all the emails we've got on the actual stuff.
Oh my God! I tell you what, it has risen to the top of the charts. That one. It's pretty special. There's a lot going on, and there's going to be more to come. So stand by for that. We'll talk about that after or during the evening, I'm sure.
Yeah. Well, let's bring in the other bloke, Mr.
He had a voice that could make a wolverine purr.
Right.
Mr. Nick Bice.
Hello. Hello.
No Nick Bice. No Nick Bice.
Well, yes.
100th episode. No Nick Bice. Now
opportunities arise.
BP. This is what we know. We know he packed his family into the Defender.
Yep. Which one?
Well, yeah, which one? One of those crappy ones. He packed his family to the Defender and we haven't heard from him since. He knows he's supposed to be here. He knows the time. I think he's broken down on the side of the road in the middle of Australia somewhere.
Well, you had to move his camp next to the car and make it look like he's found a nice spot, right?
Oh, dear.
And
it's
then,
a shame.
Daddy, can we go and do something? No, son, I've just got to tinker with the car for a bit.
Yeah, that's it. That's a real shame, actually.
Well, in all seriousness, we did do the statistics, and I believe we only had about 0.5 of seriousness left for the whole year.
So we needed Bice.
In actual fact, as serious as he is, he might have gone over. So we're probably going to get through all right.
Right. Well, that's good to know. All right, let's get on. So this is the 100th episode.
It is.
Which we thought we'd probably do 5, I think, when we first started out, and we're stunned. And this show just goes from strength to strength. Again, we don't take ourselves seriously. We're just here to have fun and spread the talk about sailing, and we appreciate the emails we get. We love hearing from you guys. So what we wanted to do for this episode, apart from get rid of Bicey, is we wanted to bring in an extra special guest. And this guy has been someone that I know I personally have wanted on the show since day one, but we've sort of kept him in the back pocket for this special occasion. And now what I'll say is that in every generation, you get one or two sailors that pop up in your country that are just the standout sailors. This guy that we've got coming on is the guy that was my generation. Unfortunately, for my
mine
and your generation.
Yeah.
Yep. And unfortunately, that meant I couldn't win anything. In
that case, you're right. He was your generation. Because I was a little bit. He'd moved on from where I was when he was. Right. I'll get what you're saying.
Yeah. So this guy is a 3-time world champion in the 505 class, which makes you probably one of the greatest sailors of all time. He won the Super League when the 18-foot skiffs were the full big money campaign. He won that 3 times, I think, in a row. He won the 49ers 3 times in a row, went to the Olympics multiple times, and 6-time Volvo Ocean Race competitor. So that's just, if this guy hasn't sailed every boat in the world, I don't know who has. And truly is a great honour to bring to the show. He's probably sitting there going, you're being such a wanker, Jordan. Like, we've known each other too long. Welcome to the show, Chris Nicholson. G'day, mate.
G'day, fellas. Thank you. Thanks for the nice introduction, but yeah, no need for it.
Oh, come on. Let me start, BP, if you don't mind.
Absolutely.
How come you're so good?
I reckon a lot of luck and the right age, the right, the right upbringing, and perhaps at a time when the sport wasn't as well, certainly wasn't as professional as it is now, but having a good work ethic and a good upbringing to kind of kickstart you on your way.
Yeah. Work ethic is the thing I picked out. So, all right, mate. So I've watched you sail from competitive boats for a long time, and I've seen you in the boat park, and there's no question that you do more work than anybody else. It's unquestionable. Whichever boat you're on, you're always there tinkering and thinking and working on the boat. And I know some people that work their asses off on their boats, but you put everyone else to shame. So that work ethic, where does that come from? Well, do you agree with that statement?
Yeah. I reckon I've burnt myself out on that. I don't like doing too much tinkering on boats anymore. but for sure. You know, my parents and my brothers. We're kind of from just one of those families where you understood the way to try and get ahead was to devote yourself to it. But I in the end, I was just so lucky that I found the sport that I wanted to do, and it's never ever felt like work at any stage. So, it's your passion, and it's easy to do the time in just not just the time on the boat as such, but the time thinking about your sport and your craft.
Yeah. So you're from the Lake Macquarie. And you, from my memory, you're on the Belmont side. So I assume you grew up around the skiff club there. Is that where you first went sailing, or?
Yeah, that's where I first went sailing at Lake Macquarie. Now everyone's moving to Lake Macquarie at the moment. It's pretty popular little location, but it is a nice spot. It's I think for it's just one of those locations where it can be quite shifty, varied conditions. You can sail all year round. So, compare that to a lot of people where they live around the world, you've already got to step up.
Yeah. Well, it's definitely produced some sailors over the last few years.
Yeah.
No question there.
Yeah. It's not a fluke. It's kind of it's just one of the pieces in the puzzle that helps people, like if you live in Alaska, you're going to be pretty, restricted in the amount of yachting you're going to get to go do. So, these things count at the end of the day. They help.
But what's your family sailors, like do your folks?
No, not at all. My father, the closest we were before my brother started sailing was my father worked on the BHP ships.
Oh yeah.
And then went to work at the steelworks in Newcastle.
Wow.
After that, and then the way that we started sailing, or that my brother Darren started sailing, was on a scout camp.
Right.
And they just kind of got introduced to sailing, pushed out off the shore, and as far as I know, obviously he liked it, and then found out at the local sailing club, the Belmont 16-footers, that they had a couple of club pelicans, I think, then, that you could borrow. So he kind of went and borrowed that, and then at some stage I got forced into that situation because it wasn't really my choice, I've got to say. I was playing soccer. Playing soccer or footy at the time, and I can remember not being very, very into the project, I've got to say. And then I got kind of saddled there with Darren, and it just I don't remember it ever like a switch being flicked or anything where I really enjoyed it. I don't remember that, but that was the start of it, and then we went on from there. And I look back and just think what an amazing time with your family, with your brother, to kind of to start from that kind of beginning and continue where we did.
Yeah. Absolutely true. I mean, I guess you can only do so much kicking and screaming, right? When eventually you go, I'm beaten, I'm done, I've got to go and do this thing.
Yeah, I think I was 6 or 7. I'm pretty sure you probably wouldn't be allowed to do this kind of stuff nowadays with children. Force them into that kind of behaviour.
Time in the boat. Off you go.
Was there any time you clearly grew up not thinking you were going to be a pro sailor, because you went and did your apprenticeship, became an electrician. Your brother went into the building world, so I'm assuming, I can't remember what Darren's quals are, but you didn't grow up, I reckon, thinking about being a professional sailor. Like, when did that happen?
That happened after 505s, or sort of, towards the end of 505s, and some guys kind of, said about the 18-foot skiffs, and I don't know, I've kind of bounced from really enjoyable boats and projects to the next one, and sometimes without so much of a plan. I know we all like to sit back and go, this is my goal from 8 years or when I was 6 years old, this is my goal, but that wasn't the way for me. I don't know if it's just, I remember, say, before I did the 18-footers, I'd see glimpses of them on the TV and think, wow, they just look amazing boats, but I never was the person that sat down and watched it, and then that become my goal. I know it sounds boring, but that was kind of it. But as soon as though you kind of get the sniff of being able to do it, then all of a sudden things change.
Yeah.
And change rapidly.
All right, so let's rewind from those first days where you were kicking and screaming and didn't want to go sailing. Let's go down to the next phase where eventually you've said, I'm kind of enjoying this. What was the next step after that? When did you sort of realise you wanted to give it a bit of a crack? And what boat?
It was in the same type of boat, actually. It was probably 2 years after I started. Then I was able to steer that boat, and it's called a Pelican. It's a little... Yep. It's a little junior training boat, main jib and spinnaker. And I got to, and I'd learnt enough forward handing, and I got shown enough that then I could steer. And then I remember we didn't really, I don't think we owned any of the boats. I just got to steer a local boat, and it was a really nice boat, and I kind of had the 1 year steering, and we won the club championship, and it was a big deal for me, that, and still is, to be honest. But I remember, the setup with that Pelican was that we couldn't go practicing through the week, and so I used to go out for an hour and a half. Before the start, I'd be the only one out there trying to learn how to reverse park a Pelican. I can remember being really, getting really good at sailing backwards. I don't know, why, because I hardly ever did that. But we were pretty handy at that, and we won the club championship, and with a good friend, Brett Davis, and it kind of, and that's what I think is, the springboard. The boats are not too bad, pretty cool for a young bloke, but I kind of remember the feeling of actually winning something, which was probably new to me in my life, because I wasn't very good at soccer or footy. So, so that was, I think that feeling, that experience of being able to achieve something and win something stuck with me.
That's where it all started.
Yeah.
So with that feeling of sort of being pretty good when you were a young fella, when did you actually, of all the things that you've achieved, when was the first time you actually went, wow, I've done pretty well here? Was it winning a Worlds, or was it a Nationals, or?
Yeah, really good question, fellas. And it was for sure, I think, winning my first 505 Worlds with Darren, my brother. Story, obviously, the story continued on, and we pretty much dominated our second World Championships in Santa Cruz. Our first World Championships, we were fourth in Sweden. Yeah. And I remember, and we both remember that going, like for our first worlds, we knocked off a fourth, and we had a rapid kind of rate of improvement then. But it was that time for sure, our first worlds.
Yeah.
And then a real big moment for me was, to be honest, in the last Volvo getting around Cape Horn for my fifth time, and I remember having a big time out for myself, which is, to be honest, pretty rare.
Yeah.
Where I was just on the boat and I was just thinking, what an amazing thing to be able to have gotten around Cape Horn 5 times, and you think of all the shit that's gone on to make that happen.
Yeah.
And you just go like, wow, I'm really, I remember being super proud of being able to have done that.
Yeah. Super proud. And for those who don't know, like that, when you won in 92, there was, that was coming out of the Kerwood era where that whole of the, the lake was producing superstar, world champion after world champion. Yeah. But there was guys like Krista Bergstrom who won 5 in world champs, and it was no give me. And I remember you at those Sweden Worlds just linking little pressure lines, and I was just looking. I was sailing with a guy called Sandy Higgins, who you know very well, and You've always been a superstar, mate. It's just the way you sail a boat. It's just incredible to watch. The other thing I remember, one of my first memories of you, Nico, was in the 5.0s back in those days. The rule was you had a gold spar mast and you had to have a 1.7 section and a 1.5 top. And everyone talked about that. And you came out and you and Darren weren't the heaviest crew by a long way. And you just completely changed it. You turned up with this. It was such a simple thing. And as a young fella like myself, I'm looking across and there you are, and you've got would you have a 1.7, 1.5, 1.2 or something? Like you'd obviously been sitting with Doug gone through the conversations with Doug for 2 weeks and then got exactly what you wanted out of the factory is what I assume. That ability to look at things differently, is that one of your secrets, you reckon?
That, for sure, that helped. But the thing that created that, honestly, was the 505 guys at Toronto.
Oh, yeah.
We got there submerged with those guys, and they're absolute legends. They'd help you with every step along the way in terms of tuning and developing and sailing your boat. It was something that I hadn't seen before.
Yeah.
We kind of come from a place where, your competitors, you're trying to beat them up, and you're not exactly helping them too much, and then you get to get into the 505 fleet, and it's just nothing but help for one another, and healthy respect, and you can go out on the water and play hard, but you're helping it grow. And kind of now I feel fortunate in the position now to try and put that back. Is the goal. When you talk about improving the sport, I think this is one of the ways of doing it.
That is not. There's never a truer word spoken. And that group of blokes that came out of Lake Macquarie in that era, that they'd go as hard as they can at you, and then they'd be stoked if you beat them, because they just want to see everyone succeed, and they'd buy you beers and have a grand time, they'd be sailing their absolute best to beat you, and then have absolutely no ego at all. They just be so happy for you if you won.
And totally, we know everyone's going to call it inappropriate, but awesome drinking games and the odd food fight that was just magnificent.
The good old days.
Yeah. Yep.
But I think that's what produced such a special group of sailors, though. I mean, there's no way that you can produce this level if you don't help each other, and that's what it's all about. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right, and so did you, with the 18s, how did you get into the 18s? Did you decide, I'm going to do the 18s? Did they come to you? Because you were skilled engineering, I think, back in on that boat.
Yep.
If people want to look up.
That was pretty cool. We're getting our sails. Craig Phillips was working at North Sails, in Sydney, and they kind of were, we had a sort of combination of Norse and Hood on the 505, and Craig kind of said, said we should look at trying to do an 18-footer. I go, oh yeah, yep, sounds good, and we go down and have a meeting with the promoter, Bill McCartney, at the time of the 18-footers, and I just was coming straight out of 505s, straight into this, and so so Craig and I get together, and Gary Boyd would be strong, young, fit, he'd be awesome forward am.
Yep.
So off we go, and kidding ourselves that we can sail an 18-foot around on this circuit, and it hadn't been done before, where you had to do your time in the 18-footers, like crashing around of a weekend for a year or two before you'd get let loose on a tell-by circuit. And I totally get it. I understand why that's the case. But so they kind of gave us the oldest, heaviest 18-footer with the flip-flop wings. Like, we could barely carry this thing in the water, and we proceeded to go out and kill ourselves several times on Lake Macquarie through the winter, as much as we possibly could. And I don't know how it came about that they ended up, whether or not, I don't know. We just got the opportunity late, in that preceding, in that season to pick up a boat, and it was sponsored. It had a sponsor that was kind of, I guess, almost on the way out of the sport.
Yeah.
They hadn't had the best of times so far, and pretty sure we were the cheapest. Well, we would have been the cheapest project there,
right?
But the actual boat was okay, like it was good, and I'm not sure, we might have got about 6 or something in that first year, and turned plenty of heads, including our own. And I think we might have got lucky. It might not have been too windy a season as well. So, one of those little things along the way. And then, you talk about people that also can influence you as well. So my boss then, who was the state manager of skilled engineering, Arthur Fowler, he basically has been a mentor. He has been a mentor of mine ever since. And, it wasn't much to do with sailing. It was about life and about, what you got to do to, run a project and run a business, and good values, and like a very, and that went from a sponsor that was looked after essentially by the organising group, Grand Prix 18-footers.
Yeah. And
then we went and ran the project ourselves, and heaps more work and heaps more responsibility, but a bit more control of your destiny as such. And then we just bounced along there, fourth in the next year, and then we won. We would win everything for 2 or 3 years after that.
Yep.
What did you find was the step up? When did you? Was it obviously it was getting around a course? We know at 18s you got to finish to win, but there's a bunch of guys that are at the top. Did you just tinker with the rig until you got it right, and did you just get some sail shapes right, or was there just sailing ability?
There was that technical aspect of it for sure, but we used to train pretty damn hard on the lake quite often. Like. To train well on an 18-footer on Sydney Harbour, there's quite often a lot of distractions in terms of if you're trying to improve technique on manoeuvres, like the fine detail.
Yep.
So we had that, I think, advantage, and we're just into it. It was like being in the 505s, where you're just this sponge for technology and advancing. What you do, and we like to have fun, but we're also pretty disciplined from the 505, and the 18-footers back then probably wasn't so disciplined, to be honest.
Yeah.
It was professional, flicking my fingers here. It was professional, and everyone, did a good job. But we just come from a different place.
Yeah.
Of being, devoted to the actual thing of sailing.
It was, the background obviously helped. Do you ever look back at some of those videos that are on the YouTube, and have a bit of a chuckle, or?
Oh, I see a few of them, but it's funny. Now I've got two kids, 8 and 12, and they keep talking about these, the odd crazy boat and 18-foot skiff and whatever. And I'm pretty sure they don't even know that I might have done it.
Really?
I go, yeah, I'll show you some videos sometime. I used to crash those things all day long.
Are they into sailing, Nico?
Yeah, one is my oldest Banjo. He's in it. I've got some really cool videos of him. I've sent him out on I've got a really old Mac 2, Mike.
Yeah. Oh, yep.
And I've been sending him out on that, and he looks way too small for a full size rig. But I'm not going to spend the money on a smaller rig for him. So he's been out there sending it pretty damn well for his second go on it. I'm quite enjoying. I've been coaching him and a lot of his mates in a little boat called Fine 11s, and I'm enjoying trying to teach them that they don't need to be, believe it or not, heavily coached, and they do need to help each other, and hopefully they can end up growing up how we did with the 505s in helping each other. And that's how I see you make junior sport, junior sailing fun and have it grow. Yeah, I've thought about it long and hard.
Yep.
The fact that how we're losing numbers rapidly in the sport, and I haven't come up with, there's no silver bullet here, I don't believe, but I hope this is one way of, in a small scale, seeing if it works.
You're 100%, Nico. I get asked all the time in the coaching when I'm working with the kids, the parents are always going, how do I make them better? How do I make them better? What do I do? Rah, rah. And I just said, just let them go sailing. Make them.
That's it. Just
let them have fun. Go sailing. The more they sail, the better they'll be. They've got to get that feel.
Yeah. Well, we've kind of changed it around, quite often now, if we do, there might be various different training sessions, but we'll try and knock out nine short course races in an hour period, and then they're off the water, and I'm kind of trying to do a debrief of about 25 seconds type of deal, and just let them, and that's what they're enjoying at the moment, and that can change, but it's about giving them what they enjoy, and they'll stick around.
Yeah,
and the odd sausage sizzle.
Yeah. Yep. Working on that.
Oh, there was a period where there was no sausage sizzles, not just with COVID, but even before that. What's going on in the world?
Australia's gone downhill.
Yep.
I know we've got a lot of emails on the Flying 11s, and because I know Adam Beechel's there, and there's a few people throwing a lot of effort into making it fun, and we've got videos being sent to us left, right, and centre on what they've been doing. So we've been well onto it. So it's good little boat too, and they've made them a bit. I think was that Adam Beechel work, or they've sort of made them a bit more of a skiff. There's a One Design skiffier version of it. Is that right?
Not as far as I know.
Okay.
No, as far as I don't think it's changed for a long, long time. And I look at it and just gone, wow, 20 years ago or 25 years ago, this would have been an amazing little boat. It wasn't at our club.
No, it's the flying. I was confusing Flying Ants. That's it. Too many flying.
Yeah.
Flying 11. Sorry, keep going. Sorry, man. They're a great little boat in Australia. They've produced a lot of champions, the Flying 11.
Yeah, they sure have. When you look on the trophies there, absolutely. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, no, that's cool. All right, so for you, before we go any further, has the passion sort of washed out of the sport for you? Is it since you've become a professional, or is it still you're still doing it for fun?
It's absolutely still there, but it's changed in how it sort of
Manifests itself.
Yeah, exactly. Like I said now, like I kind of like honestly, if I've got to change a piece of rope or even a block on my moth, I avoid it like the plague. And I don't know, like it's not good. It's not healthy for me. But that's where it is. That's where it's at the moment. But yet, if it becomes sort of like more into the management of a project or dealing with or dealing with crew issues or that, then I'm into that side of it. And I just kind of look, and it's possibly the opposite of how I wanted to grow up. Like I'm pretty sure when I saw people who are older at that time, I just go, oh, I don't want to end up like that, like where they're not working on their boat and they're not, doing that. But that's where I'm at, and that's what I enjoy doing at the moment. Sounds boring, I know, but
No, we love it. I get you entirely. I mean, I hadn't sailed for quite a few years, and because I was sort of helping other people, and now I've started sailing again, and I'm loving life. So maybe you'll have that resurgence. And I know we'll come to what you're doing at the moment, but we've got to.
Yeah, I want to do a 505 again and and try and reignite that sort of passion of of developing the systems, and but also to do that though you've got to find the time to be there, and obviously we all know life gets a bit busy along the way, so if you do it, you want to do it properly.
So the next worlds for the 50s are where you're sitting right now, I think.
Yeah, I know.
Here he goes. He's just sort of dropping it in there.
Yeah. Over here in Bermuda.
That's it. And like, who would you do the worlds with? You need someone talented on the wire there, mate.
Just throwing it out there. No,
I heard Jordan's pretty good.
He is handy. As much as I would like to not say that, but no, absolutely, yeah. Like but everyone that we raced against Jordan back in those days in the 505s they were great people for a whole lot of reasons, not just sailing.
That's it. Well, I know that you'll be able to jump in that boat and go well, so we might come back to that. But I do want to sort of go along the path a little bit, because I can't say we have to talk 49ers, and obviously you did that with Dan Phillips, and then I think Ed Smythe at the end from memory, and Gary Boyd.
Yep.
And that 2004 Olympics. Can we jump to the end of the 49 experience with that? There's a race in my memory, and I haven't looked this up, so I'm just going off memory. I'm pretty sure it was the last race in the 2004 Olympics, super windy in Greece, choppy seas, and trying to get away downwind. And I reckon you went from gold to 7th or something in that one race. Is that my memory right, or is that?
No, that wasn't. It was kind of like we were there, right throughout. We actually we did an OCS as well, and it was there's a couple of moments, I guess, in each Olympics, like we have in all of them, where you look back and go, right, there was the key moment. But to be honest, I don't beat myself up too much over those things. If you're there in the moment and you've done the best you could for a long, long time, as in in terms of you've worked as hard as you could, you've explored all options. Like I do not go home and beat myself up over that if you want failure as such. That's not the way to me. That's not the way to live your life.
But you would have you would have had so much pressure because you won the Worlds in 97, you won the Worlds in 98, you won the Worlds in 99, and then you had the 2000 Olympics in your home, effectively your hometown, an hour down the road.
Yeah.
And the Olympic Committee must have banked on a gold medal from you going in, and you must have. Did you feel that pressure? That must have been insane.
Yeah, we knew it was that pressure was there. It's a long time ago now. Did it have any negative effect? I honestly don't think so. I think that would be a very poor excuse at that level, to be honest. And that wasn't. When sometimes when you look back, for me, it takes years and years to put your finger on what went wrong. And what I think went wrong with the 2 Olympics I was in was that the first Olympics, Dan and I were at really super high level in terms of being able to sail the boat and tactically, and we missed it in regards to pure boat speed and equipment. And it's a one design class, but we all know one design isn't strictly one design as such, and you've got to buy more masts and you had to buy more sails, and we missed it. We missed that. We missed being quick enough to win a gold medal. And then for the next Olympics with Boydie, we'd worked so hard on speed, and I think we were quite quick, and we weren't probably sharp enough on our surroundings. And it's amazing little mix that of in hindsight, understanding how everything has to be at the absolute highest. Even though you think you got it, you might not have it. You might not be there, and you don't realise it for a long time afterwards. Which
leads to a good question. So do you look back on it now and go, just an absolute highlight was the Olympics, walking out onto the, out at the ceremonies, and then obviously going sailing with all these legends, and then it's done and dusted, and here you are now, and you've done it. But I shake my head regularly of what I've been able to be a part of, and the people I've been able to mix with. You just go, what a absolute privilege.
Yeah. I've just I've got visions of you walking out the opening ceremony and hanging out with Kylie Minogue and having a grand old
time. Yeah.
As we do.
Yeah.
Oh dear. So when you got into did you go into the 49er with the vision of going to the Olympics? Was that always what you were doing? Yeah.
Yeah. Back then, absolutely. We didn't jump into the class straight away. Dan and myself, we were loving life on the 18 circuit, and back then it was myself, Dan, and Boydie, and we were just really pushing the level of the crew work on those boats. We were doing all kinds of manoeuvres at a super high level, higher than anything that had been in that class. And we were lighter, and we were fitter and stronger, and we could I look back at some of the things we could do on those boats then, and I was really amazed.
Wow.
So we were loving doing that, and then obviously you saw the 49ers, and I had kind of for a few years had the sort of slight attraction for Olympics, and no offence to the 470s, I looked at them and I thought that wasn't the class for me in terms of a relatively underpowered boat. And then and the FD had kind of just been scrapped, I think, because my brother Darren and I would have for sure had a serious look at that. But we'd all been told, you're too light, and the usual story that we've kind of heard most of our lives. But you can get around that. sometimes. So the FD had, been scrapped, so it was in a bit of limbo. And then the 49er rolled along, and it was a obvious, like we said at the very start of this, sometimes, opportunities just, land in front of you, and then what are you going to do? Are you going to take that opportunity and see where you can go, or stay away? But this was a, right place. And I was about to say right time. The right time would have been 5 years before that. I only realise now the right time for me to have done Olympics would have been 5 years earlier, like when I was probably, coming out of 505s, or it was thereabouts the right time. But to really springboard, I think, and to nail these things is timing is just critical in your life and what you have going on.
Yeah. No, that 96 would have been the one, yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Life around 2000 and 2004 still was totally centred for Olympics. You think about it day and night. But I remember, I can remember looking at sitting with the 505 in the shed, sometimes, and just sitting there with it, pretty sad.
Jordan totally understands. Don't worry.
Every 5 sailor understands, mate.
Well.
Yeah, but those little things that and you just couldn't wait to get out on it of a weekend or of an afternoon, training, and sometimes that can be the difference.
I'm pretty sure you would have had some times with the 18 and the 49er doing the same thing. So the transition from the 18 to the 49er, how was that when you got on the 49er for the first time? What did it sort of feel like?
Yeah. The 18 was cool, we had it tweaked and tuned up, to a very high degree. And then the 49er was, it was kind of like a very much dulled down.
Yep.
But then you got to race more. You'd have more time on the water. You'd have more time to work on your trim and your crew work, and then getting back into a more tactical race scenario. So you just change your focus to slightly, but the same disciplines were there in regards to what you got to do to do well.
The interesting thing for you though is with your career, like after that 2000 Olympics, you go and do the Volvo Ocean Race. You jump on AMA Sports 1 with Dolts on a Volvo 60, and we all know that. I don't know if it matters anymore, but we all knew as your mates that you got seasick pretty easily. And then we suddenly hear you going to race around the world. Like there was a bit of like everyone looking at each other funny in the boat park at one stage. So how did that come about?
Yeah. It definitely, for sure, for a year, it was not my smartest move. That's where I met Bicey as well.
Yeah.
He had a fairly magnificent mullet back in those days.
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
He's not a sophisticated bloke.
No, he's not, and it's not too bad that he's not here. Actually, we talk about him freely with no defence.
Yeah. No, we should.
Sorry, mate.
Go on. No, keep going.
Oh, but the whole Armour Sport thing was, a couple of the 49er guys had kind of slightly advised me that they didn't think America's Cup sailing was for me, and they thought it was more, I should look at the Volvo Ocean Race. It's like, oh yeah, look at the Whitbread, I guess. When they'll first tell me about it, and same deal. It was like the 18 footer. I knew I'd seen little clips of it on TV, then had a look at it and I've just gone, ocean racing. And I knew I got seasick, but I'd actually never, honestly, I'd never sailed offshore.
I was about to ask you if you'd ever done any offshore sailing, so you answered.
Like never. I mean, like never had been. I'd never done an overnighter on a yacht. And
so what did you say to Dulce?
Well, I got a call from Bauer Becking, who was sorting the project out for Dulce. Dulce was racing around the world at the time on Club Med. Yeah. But I didn't know. I think the way it came about was Dulce had seen me racing the 49er in Melbourne. I'd never met Dulce before then. And he kind of gone, this guy can drive. So let's have a look. So anyway, I get an email or something. That might have been a fax back in those days, or a courier pigeon or something. And so I get this message, about the Volvo, ocean, whatever it was, Whitbread. And I'm going, yep. So I tell a few porkies on the resume, numerous East Coast races of Australia. So I thought I'd better make it true, the resume. So I didn't even know how to get on a yacht at that stage. So I gave Sean Langman a call, who had the 60-footer Xena or Grundy back in those days.
Grundy,
yeah. So I go to Sydney to Southport. So that's my resume ticked off. And
of course, you've done 7 of those.
yeah. And then I didn't get seasick because it was a pretty easy one. And then I go join Armour Sports in France in the shed, as we're finishing off the build, and talk about out of your league, And then I go sailing on the, we go sailing and there's all these displays on the mast, like 6 or 7 of them, and all these electronics.
What the hell are those numbers doing?
And there's a steering wheel as well, and I'm just going, for so long, I struggled like you wouldn't believe.
I would have loved to have heard the first question today. What do you reckon about a peel, Chris? Should we peel now?
And they go the lazy sheet and I'm just going, I to this very day I don't run sheets because I just get all that stuff wrong. And but I can remember there's just the steepest learning curve I've ever seen anyone do. And there's no way I pulled my weight on that project, I don't think, until 3 to 6 months into it. Dulce and that kind of invested in me, but it wasn't. It was tough. There wasn't a lot of help. It's not like nowadays. I know how hard it was, and if I see anyone in a position like that now in any projects I'm with, I go out of my way to make sure they have a chance to survive it, because it was too hard. You didn't know what clothing, you wouldn't get a whole lot of help, and it was really survival of the fittest, and that's how it was a lot in those days. You kind of, when you end up with the crew on the Volvo back then, they were pretty, they endured a bit to be there.
Yeah. Good on
you.
Do
you think there was any apprenticeship moments where they sort of were setting you up a little bit and hung you out to dry a bit?
Oh, mate. Every time I reckon they put me on the wheel, it's because I think I was fairly aggressive on the wheel back then, but obviously, the natural skills from 49ers 18 footers, you're quick, you're going to be quick, but you still got no idea, you got no idea why you're quick. Whereas now I understand all the electronics and the data and why I was quick and why, and so you kind of now nicely, you're all rounded. But back then, and I didn't really I didn't like it. I got to say, my girlfriend at the time, and now my wife Megan, she actually said to me quite late during the race, she thought I would have or should have quit at some stage, and which was a big thing, and she knows I don't quit, but she thought I probably should have.
Yeah.
Just intensity. You found yourself just wanting to get it sorted, or you were just
and
stressed,
I was so sick. Like
Right.
I was so seasick, and it was just destroying me. Like that I would be, so anxious in regards to not letting people down because I was sick. And I remember fairly early on not in Alicante, where we in St. Genco, where we had the spots, and I remember sitting down with Daltz and I just going like, I'm just getting so sick on board the boat that I'm just not doing a very good job, and he offered to deal with whatever, cleaning the dishes downstairs, because if I was say cleaning the dishes downstairs, I'd have to run for the hatch and throw up. And and so I've learnt to manage it, but that's been a long process. But to kind of the faith that adults end up having, going like, I'll cover you for that. You just get your act together to be able to sail on deck. Was pretty cool.
Yeah, well, they obviously saw something, right? Yeah. But Nico, that was in 2001 and 2. You came back for another 1, 2, 3, 4 editions with this seasickness.
5.
5 editions.
Yeah, another 5, and want to do a couple more. So, I kind of, I tried every pill and potion under the sun, and I found a couple that worked pretty well and hold it at bay as such. But nowadays, I can do plenty of emails and put myself in some very difficult positions seasickness wise, and I can deal with it. But I still will lose my lunch pretty rapidly if I get it wrong.
It's interesting, isn't it?
I can't. To be honest, I can't relate to it. I'm one of the lucky ones. I don't get seasick. Yeah, I've never been seasick on a boat, other than many years ago where I was in a situation. But that's another story.
Yeah.
Should I say you've never been fast on a boat but not seasick? And
he's the other way around. Harsh? No, that's a bit tough. No. But I cannot relate to it. I've seen and sailed with many people who, are crook, and they just push through it. I think it's a super strength to be able to do it, because it must be horrible.
Yeah, but it takes it takes it out of you. Obviously the physical side of it's just horrendous, but to be able to, back up and keep doing it, that was, would be pretty taxing.
But there's a couple of points you made early on that, I can't believe people talked you out of doing the Cup. Like, you would have been fantastic in the Cup. Not sure what your match racing skills are like, but I reckon you would have been fantastic in the Cup. And for those who don't know how Nico steers a boat, you've got a different technique. Like, you work the rudder like a madman, like trying to find the low spots. So you're trying to flatten the boat and keep the rig dead stable through the air. It's my observation. But like, when you first got onto AIM, is that how you were steering the boat?
Yeah, and I settled it down reasonably quickly, because I think people were falling off their feet, sort of thing, downstairs,
throwing them off the boat.
But yeah, I'm not sure. Nowadays, like with the speeds the boats do, you kind of got to. Often you've got to try and soften the landing, soften the impact, both reaching and upwind, and at different times press really hard. I really like where I'm at now in terms of driving. Like, I can, I just love it. I can match it with whoever I want to match, and I can preserve the boat, and I'm really, really in a good really in a good point where, you know, driving wise, and it, you know, like, and it's guys like, you know, and you get exposed to awesome drivers. You know, I remember, you know, for instance, like Stu Bannatyne and myself could just like send it and know it's going to stay in one piece, but really at a level that you just kind of shake your head at, that what's going on around you. You know, you're on these boats where you're just doing warp speed with the best sailors around, and everybody is redlining. Like, everyone is at their sort of, you know, tapping out on where their skill levels are at. And it's just such an amazing. That's what's made this round the world racing reasonably addictive. That you can find yourself at that level of application quite regularly.
It has to be said, with the Volvo, you've had some amazing highs and you've had probably your worst days on a boat in the Volvo. But my favourite video on the internet is one where it says, if you search huge wave knocks down Nico from the Volvo Ocean Race 2011-12, there's that when you're on camper, I think, and you all got swept off the wheel. Do you know the one I'm talking about?
Yeah.
That's got to be the best video on the internet, I reckon.
Yeah, but you know, you just, you know, like, I look at it, you look back at that, and you just go, wow, we were just, you know, hanging it all out, but you know, but you look around with the people that you're surrounded with, and you know, and you're in the middle of nowhere, like, and you just, like, it's such an amazing experience. It really is. It's absolutely one of the best things I've done, and you know, it kind of, you know, makes the hair on your arm stand up now thinking about it.
There was one time you were I think you were in the middle of the Southern Ocean, and the boat you're on was a 70, I think, or a 60, and it started to sink in. I think you went down and did something in the bottom of the boat using your electrician skills.
Yeah, I remember this story. Yep.
Well, go on.
Yeah, no, it wasn't. That wasn't very pretty, I got to say. It was about, I think, 600 miles from the Horn, and we had these sort of like bomber doors as such around the keel fairing, and they tore off, and the vessel like flooded instantly.
Which boat was it, Nico?
That was Telefonica Movie Star.
That's right. Yep.
And we were gonna lose the boat. They got most of just about all the crew were on deck in dry suits, you know, with the rafts ready to rock and roll. KP passed me, telling me that he's got the passports, and I'll see you up there. And
as KP does.
Yeah, and myself and Shabby are downstairs. Trying to, you know, I'm trying to get the pumps going, because we lost all the electrics, and like, it was super dangerous. Like, you know, obviously my first time in a flooded vessel in a seaway, and the sheer force of the water going side to side on all the loose equipment, and you know, and oil, and so we had no electric, so we couldn't get the pumps going. So I've just gone, you know, to Shabby. He was trying to get the hoses out, trying to sort the pumps out, and so I've just gone. I'm just gonna bare connect to the battery pack, and it's and the pumps. I didn't really know at the time. I didn't have time to think about it. They were 12-volt pumps, and I've put it straight onto the 24-volt battery, and I was getting you know, I was getting nicely electrocuted. But the other issues, I've got it's quite an effective form of torture, I do believe. and I've got my hands down in between the generator and the battery bank, and the water's flopping me from side to side, and I'm trying not, I thought for sure you're going to end up, with a broken arm.
Yeah.
But then you're getting electrocuted at the same time, trying to get these, the copper wires around the battery terminals, and it's arcing and sparking and carrying on, and we got the pumps going. So, and obviously, if you hook up a 12-volt pump to 24-volt, it actually really sends it nicely. And not healthy for it, but that was one of the things that saved us, because the water ingress was through a cover plate, and it was above the water line, and the water level in the boat was right there at the very top of it sometimes. And if we lost it where the water line ended up above that, that's it, you're gone. The pump would not have.
Yeah.
And we just and we would have been in a serious moment, being in a raft 500 miles from the Horn, and it was one of the very true close moments.
Wow.
And, yeah, you're fully, trust me, you're fully focused.
Yeah,
fully focused, fully immersed is another good way of putting it.
That's incredible.
And then I just remember thinking at the end of that, just like, wow, no wonder they torture people with that electrocution. Like not fun.
No. One thing I will say, Nico, because we've talked to a lot of people, is that a lot of the people you've sailed with clearly regard you on a boat as, like when you stepped on with the Axon Bell craziness in the 17-18, and there was a lot of young kids who hadn't sailed with you on that boat, and they've whispered in my ear just how it changed their whole world, just being able to sail with you, and what the professionalism and the way you sort of took charge on that boat, just to make them understand how you do this well. So the question I have for you is, like, who's been the standout for you, whether it's your toughest competitor or the person you've learned the most from, where that you learnt, where you've had that sort of real amazing sort of history with, I guess?
No, there's not a massive standout. There's a common, I try and pick bits and pieces from a lot of people, along the way. I think of my brother, like I said earlier, Arthur Fowler from Skilled Engineering, competitors, like Dalt's had a big influence on me. And then, you find your own way. And it's kind of like both good and bad. Like, I certainly have a different view than what I was taught in regards to how to help, younger guys and girls on board the boats now. Like, much more, I think, involving them with what it takes to try and run projects and teams. And I think it's a good thing. The more people that know and get taught how to do these things, eventually the bigger the sport will be. Like this, we've got too many projects in the world, from my view, where it's kind of you keep it at the upper echelon and you try and lock it in there and prevent all people coming into that realm, and that's for job protection quite often.
Yeah.
Whereas I hope that's certainly not how I want to do it.
Well, I think it was lead by example. I think it was Martine Grail that said that it was you were down inside the boat, cleaning it out as much as anyone else, and I think that's what she took out of it. So that, I guess, lead by example is the way you do it.
Yeah, and give everyone the opportunity to do their best. And like, it's so easy where people don't get given the chance to bring their best. Because they're part of a bigger team, and quite often, they can be, they can not be forgotten about, but not just not challenged to bring everything they've got.
And that's what being a leader is, isn't it? Finding each individual personality and bringing the best out of them.
Yep.
From a mentoring perspective, if you're looking at that, I mean, I can name a ton of sailors that you've mentored, but I'm going to have to say, I reckon you've got a favourite in a young bloke who I can understand why he's your favourite. He's one of my favourite blokes to talk to, is Nicholson.
Yeah, the Viking. He's going all right.
He's going all right.
Yeah.
So you're sitting in Bermuda right now, and I take it you're there as a coach for the Danish Sail GB team, which Nikolai leads up. Yeah?
Yes. Yeah. Like I really like this story so far, and the story's probably at its beginning. I first sailed with Nikolai on a Melgis in, I'm not sure where it was, maybe in Lake Garda, and Nikolai and Brad Ferrand, I remember these
Another
two guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I remember sailing with them, just thinking, wow, these two are perfect for round the world racing. And, talented, hardworking, and, like Nikolai's got a massive work ethic. Like, he's a, he's a farmer, and as we all know, farmers, they know how to work.
Yep.
And together with smart and pretty wicked sense of humour, like it's a pretty well all-rounded, person, in life, really. And so I'm quite enjoying being, just here trying to help a little bit with the Sail GP team from Denmark, Rockwell
Sail GP team, who have put a huge. So Rockwell have put a huge amount into that team, and there's a lot of our favourites on that boat. To be honest, we're pretty keen on a lot of the members, and we saw the addition of the 2 new female crew, which again. We're fans, particularly Anne-Marie. We're close to. We love Anne-Marie, so we're watching with interest. I must be said though, like from a coaching perspective, are there any issues with the foiling or the wings that you sort of you feel, I'm not the man to say, or it's just a matter?
When you look at, say, the technology that's there, they're very, very complicated boats, right? So right at this point in time, I am so struggling to get my head around it. Like, I really am. But the only thing that makes me okay with that is that this is just another point in my life where I'm so struggling to catch up to it. And I've done it in the past, and I will catch up.
Familiar territory.
Exactly. So, but that's not, that stuff right at the moment isn't the important stuff for winning and improving. Like that, you'll get familiar with. But what is familiar, what is important at the moment, I see with this team is. Keeping the right level of improvement, and you've got we've got all the tools, we've got the people, and it's just how all that's going to mesh together to determine what the level of improvement's going to be. Like it can either be really slow or we can speed it up. So there's a whole lot of bringing in the same disciplines, or they've got it all. They have it all there. They actually don't need that much help. It's just a tiny little bit of guidance here and there. And I'm quite looking forward to it. And like sometimes you don't have to say a lot sometimes to help. So we're early days, but I look around the fleet, and wow, there's some magnificent sailors there. They have pulled together the best sailors, on the planet in this fleet, and so it won't be easy. But I have faith in these guys. It might take a little bit of time, but they'll do it. Like, it's no different to to be honest, when I first saw Brad and Nikolai, and right back then I had faith that this would be something that, like, obviously this wasn't even in existence then, but I was pretty, Nikolai for sure I had marked out to be able to be a skipper of a Volvo or Ocean Race project, and that is not a small statement to mark someone out, to go, this person's got the ability. Like, it's not they're not easy jobs at all.
Well, it's not just about sailing. It's you're the leader. You're the leader. You're the personality. Yeah. No,
exactly. And I never understood it when I was, in my first or second Volvo. I knew as soon as I was doing my first Volvo that I wanted to skip one. I knew that, but I didn't understand at all what was involved. And a couple of the experienced guys, like Roger Nelson, he was telling me, what you need to be able to do to skipper these things, and I just did not know, like I take my hat off for anyone that attempts these things.
Well, it sounds like the Nico playbook, to be honest.
Yeah.
Bite off more than you can chew, and chew like...
Yeah. Yep.
It's my stepfather's motto.
Well, we need to get you some money because you're probably trying to put a campaign together, no doubt, to go again. So if anybody is... I think we get quite a few business listeners come in on this one. So you are going again with the Volvo is the plan, or the Ocean Race is the plan, correct?
Yes, yep. So myself and Natalie Cueri, we have a race management company that then we're looking after the Axo Noble boat this summer. So we're going to do the Europe tour with the Ocean Race. Yep. The Europe race, sorry, and we're going to we're deeply trying to raise the money now to do the race next year. All kinds of, as everyone knows, all kinds of challenges in the world at the moment. Yep. Like we're devoted to that job. So that's what we want to do.
So the one thing I'd add to that, not only the thing with the Volvo or the Ocean Race is that it's probably the most professional business program going around. So not only are the sailors talking about, they don't just sail. They spend, for those people who are sailors, haven't been to the Volvo, there's a very professional corporate program that runs on, which helps the people that invest into the teams reap massive rewards from their investment. So, that's probably, and you manage that stuff really well, mate.
I enjoy it, and it's a commercial venture, and we don't have too many of them in this sport at the moment, and it's difficult. It is so difficult. You've seen it firsthand, Jordan, and it is like people think the sailing's hard. Well, this other side of it, the commercial side of it, I think is harder. Like it's and it's important that it is important that we keep trying to make it work commercially. Sport's in a difficult point at the moment, trying to stack these things up commercially. This is one of the few ventures that still does it and does it well, but not easy.
Yeah, well, if you're a company that's trying to open your markets, particularly through Europe, but also the US, South America, and a little bit into Asia as well. It's a great, it's amazing, because one of my responsibilities in the race was to sort of manage all those sort of VIP interactions, and I've seen some massive deals get done on the back of this whole program. So like massive deals.
Yeah,
massive.
Yeah, and in the end, you have the odd CEO go, like that project just paid for itself last night.
Yep.
And it's not so much, all this background work's being done for those deals to happen. But when they have a fantastic day, when they get to immerse with the athletes, see the technology, be part of, a 9-month worldwide sporting event, it's a unique experience for them and us. And it's and these things help.
Yep, absolutely. Oh well, hopefully someone's listening, mate, because we'd love to. It's time for an Aussie to win, I reckon. Again.
Again.
Well,
yep.
So I think let's get it going on. But I think we're probably going to have to call time there, because we know it's super early in the morning for you, and we know your mind will be focused on the team. So. We didn't even get to half the things I wanted to talk about, but it's probably Bicey's fault because he didn't bother turning up.
Yeah, blame him.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, he's too busy. He's too busy out there with the defender, Jordan. You know that.
Yeah, he's broken down. So. The one question, mate, are you going to go all the way around with the Sail GP team, or you're just coming in for a bit of a flash coaching role?
No, I'm hoping to go all the way around. Like it's, we have to make sure it works. Like I need it to work for these guys.
Will you be able to come home at all, or does that mean you're overseas now for the next whatever?
I'll come home. I actually want to come home and get a vaccine, to be honest.
Yeah.
So like here in Bermuda, we're very much in like a mini bubble.
Yeah.
So relatively no issues, I don't think there. But then when we come back to Europe and where we need to race, then I think it needs to be, vaccinated. So so this year will be a very much away a fair bit, but some really good, challenging projects. It'll be good fun.
Cool. All right, mate. Well, we might leave it there. You got anything else, BP?
No, mate. I'm stoked for you for moving forward. So good luck with the GP, and also good luck with the ocean race.
Thanks, Brett and Jordan. Good fun talking to you. I know some of the stories, they're all a bit too serious, and but I would have loved to have taken the piss out of Bicey a bit more.
Well, what I'm going to say, Nico, is there's an open standing invite any time you want to come back on the show, where you can. So if you've got a project or something going on, then just come on, mate. And apologise for Bicey not being here. Probably he was the main reason for joining the show, because he's the fun one out of the three of us.
It's possibly he might have got like a bad case of drop foot, and he's like walking around in circles in the desert somewhere. So maybe we should ask him the next time if he's had a reoccurrence of his lazy foot sort of issue.
Yeah, it's that or the car. It's one of the two. Right.
Yes, definitely. Good on you.
Yeah. Awesome, fellas.
See you, bud. And give our best to the Danish team, mate, and all the lads.
Absolutely. Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Leading by example. That's all it is, really. I mean, from everyone that's sailed with Nico, it's about what he wants out of it. It's not so much that he tells people; he goes and does it.
Yeah,
and that's the big picture. And I think that when you hear him speak and when you look at what he's done in the past, it's basically he drags people along and watch him work, and they go, "Mate, I'm going to keep up with this guy."
Yeah, he's a bit of a legend.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And it's cool. I'm very grateful for him taking the time, because he's always under pressure, that bloke.
Episode 100.
Yeah, episode 100. It's a big one. Mate, speaking of legends, guess who we've got on the phone?
I know. This is crazy from one to another.
Olympic gold medalist Mark Turnbull. Mate, welcome to Barkarati.
Thank you. I'm just happy to follow Nico. So, yeah, it's always good to hear him talk.
You're a good man. Hey, we just wanted to get you on quickly because you are the man behind the Sailors Champions League event, which in Asia Pacific region, which is the final, the Australian Championships, on as the weekend this episode goes to air. So this is sort of poignant. So we just thought we'd give a quick chat. So you could actually tell us what the Sailors Champions League is all about. Is that easy?
Yeah, definitely. It's good to be on, actually. So basically the Sailing Champions League started in Germany by three pretty handy sailors. So Ollie Schwal, who was a Tornado, multiple European champion, went to the Olympics, Marcus Bauer, 49ers, and Joachim Schumann. They thought in Germany that there really wasn't a club versus club competition that was fair. That's not about who's got the most money or the biggest boats, but was open to clubs large and small. So they created the Bundes Sailing League literally 8 years ago. And that concept was basically a rock up and race. So any club in Germany could turn up and sail in J70s in their case, in a really short, sharp format. It's not match racing, not teams racing, but takes the best elements out of those. So it's umpired and all those things. Mm-hmm. And it's just taken off in that now that there's 23 different countries have a national sailing league, which sort of fits into that mould. And literally 2 years ago, we brought that concept to Australia. Well, really Asia Pacific is the major plan, but starting in Australia to create that club versus club league format.
So from the way I'm looking at it, is just you sort of, because everybody sails in different boats, so you're taking the boats out of it. It's kind of like the Hardy's Cup or something like that in a way, but you're providing a standardised boat, and then it just comes down to the sailors, yeah?
Yeah, exactly. So it doesn't matter if your club has the fleet of Elliott Sevens or they're an off-the-beach club. That club effectively sends its best 4 or 5 if they're youth sailors to our event to compete against any other club in their region in Australia on a fair basis. So to be honest, the actual boat doesn't matter. It's the format and the type of league that we're trying to create. But obviously we've gone down the path of the RS21 because they're pretty cool, fast boats, and we can transport them around Australia pretty easily.
The RS21, so that's what the racing's in, which is...
Yeah. So a little, they're basically a 4 or 5 person sports boat out of the UK. So they're taking off worldwide, and we've effectively got the first 6, or there's 7 of them in Australia at the moment, and we run 6 of them for the Sailing League.
Okay.
It is actually awesome. I've seen them down at Woolwich, and there's plenty of action going on.
Yeah, that's actually one of the good parts is the feedback from the sailors. They actually like sailing. So they're fast, skiff-like. So we sort of figure if you want to attract 20-year-old sailors, you want to actually put them in boats they want to sail as well. So I think this boat hits the nail on the head that way.
Yeah. What about 50-year-old sailors?
I should actually. There's a little bit of selfishness in this.
We like going fast too, mate.
Yeah, I want to be sailing in this thing, and I'm standing on the sidelines watching. So I've created something that I think is a bit self-indulgent that I and my mates and you guys should all be sailing in.
I should do a Masters tour.
We should get beaten by all the 24-year-olds, to be honest. But I'd still like to have a go.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I reckon the old balls will go okay.
So, but conceptually, you could get national champions from all the countries, and then you could go right through and find the world champion club.
Yeah, and that's exactly right. So there's 23 nations have a national sailing league. They then feed up into regional championships, which are the Sailing Champions League. So the main one's in Europe, but we've created the Asia Pacific, or the Sailing Champions League Asia Pacific, which is for anyone from our region. And on the results of this regatta in Newcastle this weekend, the top Asian, the top Pacific, so top probably Kiwi, and top Australian team qualify for the World Championships over in Porto in Italy in September. So there's actually a pathway to go to.
Are you going to put some effort in now, Jordan?
Porto, thank you very much.
Yep.
Yeah, okay, well, that's awesome.
Yeah. So subject to COVID and restrictions, the winners, this is the way that the best club in Australia can prove they're the best and then go on to take on the best clubs in the world.
Right.
Can you explain the format
a
little bit to the... Sorry, Jordan. Can you explain the format to the listeners? Because this is new, or relatively new to Australia. And I know for a fact that, take last year out of the case, but the year before that, one of our favourites here, Dave Chapman, actually went over to Germany and took it on and did really well in an event. But can you explain the format to the listeners?
Yeah, so the format is short, sharp fleet racing. So the reality is everyone's learned how to sail in fleet racing. Not everyone knows how to match race or teams race, but take the best elements out of those. So make it fully umpired, so there's no protests. Everything that happens on the water is seen by an umpire, and if it wasn't seen by an umpire, it didn't happen. And do lots and lots of races. So our races are literally 10 to 12 minutes long. So in a day we target to do 24 races, and we rotate up to 24 teams through the 6 boats. So cool. For the event coming up, we've got 12 teams. So we rotate those teams after they do 3 races. They come back in, change over, and just plough through as many races as we can. And then the top 4, this is where it actually gets quite interesting and probably for a bit of media spectacle. So the top 4 then make it through to the final 4 concept, which is the first boat that wins 2 races wins the championship. So the good part about that is that whoever wins the last race is the champion, because
you've got to win 2.
That is a big problem with the medal race at the Olympics and most other regattas. You don't have to win the last race. And for someone standing on the shore, that just doesn't make any sense.
So that changes the strategy. Just suddenly thinking, yes.
Exactly. Okay. So the strategy is obviously to do well in the qualifying, make it into the top 4. There is a bit of a bonus for whoever wins the qualifying rounds actually carries 1 first place into the final. So that
stops your strategy, Jordan.
Come on, keep going.
Yeah, so that team, let's say they won the qualifying series and come out and blitz and win the first race of the final, game, set and match. But you sort of find that the 3 other teams make sure that doesn't happen. And then will be 2 teams on effectively checkmate. And then after 3 races, you get down to the 4th race and basically any of the 4 teams can win it on the last race.
Yeah, that's
awesome.
Very cool. Awesome. If people are interested, are they going to be able? Is it streamed or anything like that? Is there anything like that happening?
Yes, yeah. So we have our finals on the 9th, 10th and 11th of April, so this weekend at Newcastle, and it's literally within shouting distance of the Honeysuckle Hotel.
Right.
Like, we want to get sailing really close to shore, but you need to see it as well and hear the sailors swearing. And it'll be live. It'll be live streamed. Definitely the final 4 races will be live streamed through on YouTube. But also Facebook sort of live videos, all available on the website. We've got the Sail Down Under guy, so Harry Fisher, and he's bringing a whole team. So part of it is to create content that can be fed back to clubs all around Australia to get their members at the bar barracking and supporting their team.
Yeah.
So we actually try to engage every yacht club in Australia, or at least start with the ones that have got teams in it, and get them supporting their best young sailors.
That's fantastic.
Okay, so as we stand right now, can you give us a list of the teams that are going to be present?
Yeah, COVID seems to keep raising its head, so we've got a little bit of a hit this year again. But we've got Newcastle Cruising Yacht Club, Royal Sydney Yacht Squadron, Royal Queensland Yacht Squadron, Nullarbor. So Jordan's actually competing on that team, I believe.
Why is the shush, Jordan?
We haven't done any work, BP. I've been sucked in at the last second.
Mate, are you kidding me?
Yes.
The great Jordan Spencer needs to train.
Absolutely. It's a team.
So they're going in as red hot favourites, I guess. We've got Royal Yacht Club of Tasmania. They actually won the Southern qualifier for Victoria and Tasmania down in Mornington earlier this year, so they're pretty hot actually. Yeah. Australian Defence Force Academy, Blackgarry Yacht Squadron, and Brighton and Seacliff from Adelaide. So we're missing.
Against your old foes.
Well. Yeah. Sorry?
Again, Jordan against his old foes as well.
My home club, my old home club, the mighty Brighton and Seacliff. Though I'm guessing Alex Higgins and a crew from there will be coming out. Is my guess. Probably a bunch of Higgins people will be coming.
Higgins clan.
Okay, right. So pretend you've watched this. You're a gold medalist. What is the critical things you need to do to win?
At this point, it's getting around the course cleanly.
Yep.
We set up the boats that they're all identical. So in theory, there's no speed advantage. The courses are so short and sharp that if you just get around the course clean, start well, you'll be at the top mark in the top three. And if you're in the top three every race, you'll probably make the finals. It's been really entertaining. It's entertaining to watch the crews develop too. So we've got young laser radial sailors who have never sailed with a crew before, and suddenly they're launching kites and having to communicate. And then we've got far 40 sailors. So Joe DeCock from Newcastle turning up and winning events last year. So it's yet to work out who's the favourite, whether it's the old sort of experienced guys and girls or the young fresh ones.
I'm intrigued by the final thing where it's irrelevant where you finish if you're not finishing first, right? So if you don't win that race, then your position becomes irrelevant. So if you're third or fourth or second, you could take a massive fly. You've got to win, basically. You've got to win twice, and then everything else is irrelevant. That's right, isn't it? Those
exactly. Like the results will help you come second or third or fourth overall,
right?
But the goal is to win, and unless you win those races in the last final four, you're not going to win it overall.
Have you looked at the weather modelling for the weekend? Because I have.
I'm still trying to get over the last event. We were up in Newcastle, 2 weeks ago?
Yeah. For
the Northern qualifier. So we had
a little bit of rain around.
Yeah. So I don't want to look. I think it'll be okay. In fact, no, I do know it'll be okay. Maybe Sunday we might get some showers, but I think we'll get a bit of everything, but mainly sunshine.
All right. Well, let me tell you, put all your marks out, make a circle. So because you're going to get a westerly, you're going to get a northerly, you're getting a sou'easter, you're getting a massive southerly come through on Sunday, then dropping out. And, so pretty much every wind direction will be seen throughout each day, throughout the weekend. So just have all your marks down is what I'd say, so you can change direction pretty quickly.
In fact, it might actually work well because we've adopted a course format where there's a top gate and a bottom gate.
Yep.
So there's 4 marks on the course.
Yeah.
And more than happy to do downwind starts. So if the wind swings 180 degrees, we want to make sure the start and finish is always close to the pub, the shore.
Yep.
And so if the wind does 180 degrees, we run downwind starts, which we did in Mornington, and they were better than the upwind starts.
Wow.
So, but we try to make it so boats don't hit each other, that you can't put up your kite in the last minute until you cross the start line or crossed and cleared the start line. But it was good fun.
Oh, okay. So you can't put your kite up till you've crossed and cleared the start line.
Exactly. In that last minute. All this is in the sailing instructions, which obviously you've read thoroughly.
I have, but I read millions of things a day. Don't you worry. I've read things, but wow, it's cool, mate. Well, I hope it goes well. So clearly, I'm going to be down there. Maybe we may even buy and do a bit of a chat with you, because there's a lot to talk about the Mark Turnbull story as well. So we might actually.
You've done a bit.
Yeah, we might make a little bit of a feature. So I'm guessing Barkarati and you are going to have a good relationship this next week.
Well, the plan is, definitely am planning to get up that way. So we'll maybe see you there, Jay.
Okay, no worries. Mark, appreciate you taking the time to talk about your crazy event. Let's hope it is an absolute cracker. Or hope that all the other teams don't turn up and Mooloolaba win.
Absolutely. Thanks for that, guys. And I'll see you in a couple of days.
Cheers, mate.
Where can we catch you online with your
online? Probably the best one is just through the website, and then that has all the links, and it's sailing/championsleague.asia. So, or just Google it. You'll either get to the the global one or the Australian one.
And then the actual name of the event is
Sailing Champions League, Asia Pacific.
Yep. There you go. Righto. So all those interested to have a look at, see what's going on, get on those little links, and it'll all be up online, and see if Malulabar can take it out.
All right. Okay. Right, well, that sounds like an exciting event. It is going to be fun to have a bit of a look. Yeah. The one thing he didn't mention is the crews are made up of equal male and females, so 2 males, 2 females on each team, which is the way for world sailing.
I think it's got potential to be a massive event, both in Australia and globally. There's no reason why we couldn't end up with really hotly contested world championships.
Yeah, and then
particular format.
Yeah, any of my Newcastle mates who are just floating around, just come on down and we'll catch up for a beer. And I've sat on the beach and coached a bunch of you mongrels, so you can come and return the favour, all right? You all know who I'm talking about.
I think you'll do all right, mate, even though you haven't trained. I think you'll do okay.
Mate, the Secret Pro News, there's lots of stuff happening in the double-handed world. Is there any of it we can go public with yet, BP?
There is a bucket load of stuff going on.
It's amazing news. Can we talk about
the letter that was released via Barkarati the other day? But no, the big one is the potential of a World Series tour, and we're working on that. And there's a lot to it. I'm not going to go too much more detail, but I think we're going to invite a couple of people on in the next couple of weeks to talk about it. Okay. Olympics or no Olympics, because the decision is being made in the next few weeks, and the market or the sector itself, the double-handed sector itself, is just got so much potential and gaining so much traction on a global level that it's just too hard to ignore. And I think we're going to have to spend some time talking about it. Yeah. But this World Series tour is an exciting format put together by the same guys that did the Champions League. So Ollie Schwal and also a gentleman by the name of Larry Rosenfeld in the States. We're putting it all together, so it's well worth a chat.
So there's something coming, and we'll bring it up. But if you're into the double-handed stuff, then basically imagine there's a global event coming, global series coming,
yes. We are talking Australasia, Europe, and potentially the US, all tied into something very, very special.
So there's quite a few people getting quite excited now, and for those who took that publication that we put up on the website, that was an April Fool's joke. Most of you have worked it out now, but thanks for the reactions. We had a laugh.
My God, reactions! How many? I mean, I woke up and saw it, and I didn't twig for a little while. I was sort of like, "What's going on here?" I didn't know you did it, along with a lot of things that I don't know about this particular Barkarati thing I'm involved with.
I'm busy, BP. I'm busy.
But it was quite funny, and then it took me a little while to work it out, and then after I did work it out, it was just the comments were amazing. But it shows the passion. Yeah, do you know what I mean? Absolutely. It shows that people are interested, and it got thousands and thousands and thousands of views. I'm talking thousands of views, and people had some pretty heavy comments. This is bullshit. Rah, 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 rah.
Anyway, yeah, it was a good laugh.
Anyway, well done.
Yeah. Our mates from the Off the Beach Catamaran Challenge, that didn't happen, got no wind, I think. Is that right?
Yeah, it was forecasted. It was actually called a long way out. I think they were talking on Tuesday that it was going to be a failure due to the weather, and I believe that's what ended up happening. So it has been rescheduled. We've got a date in mind. I'll keep you posted on that.
Right. In the interim, go on.
Well, I was going to say that it is still going to happen. So they're still at each other's throats at the bar at the moment. So I'm sure it's getting hotter.
Well, in the interim,
I'm sure it's getting hotter.
In the interim, the boys for Phil Shearer from the Tornado fleet has come back. It's a good one.
As I said, the battle's on.
After a couple of weeks of sitting on my hands, I decided to reply to Mr. Viper's comments. While the F-16 and Viper are good designs, they are not the king of the beach. A Viper is like a boy racer in their hotted-up Subaru Impreza. They make a lot of noise, but it's still a Subaru. A Tornado is like a classic 67 Ford Mustang, which has been repowered in 2000 with an extra powerful, all-conquering power plant, making it one of the fastest yet easy and fun-to-sail yachts available. A 50-year-old classic Olympic class, leader of design and development, and still the cat to beat. How many classes survive for 50 years? Like any classic sports car, everyone is impressed by a Tornado in full flight. But if it's too much boat for you, you can always get a Viper. While a Viper has a small trampoline, barely big enough for you and your girlfriend, the Tornado has a king-size trampoline, big enough for you, your girlfriend, and her adventurous friend. This alone makes the Tornado king of the beach.
I love it. Yeah. Your girlfriend and her adventurous friends.
Oh.
Now that opens up a lot of doors, doesn't it?
It does.
Hey, listen. Like I said to you, I think they're up there at the moment, and they're all talking about it. It's pretty hot topic at the moment. So we want to see a few more classes get into this action.
Well, BP, we've got. If I had to name our most committed fan and friend now, who would you name?
At the moment, I've got to say these guys with the Taipans and the Vipers for me. They're just onto it all the time.
Mr. John Schaefer. It could only be.
I know where you're going with this one. Yeah. John Schaefer. Yeah. Now, I didn't see this, obviously, not on the run sheet, but anyway, as it is. John Schaefer he is one of the committed and long-time fans of the show. One of the very early people to contact us. Yeah, go on, Jordan.
Well, he's got a battle flag made up. And
he had a battle flag made up for the Volvo 65, the VO 65 in the European Tour of 2019.
And he's put forward his own views. I'm not going to read out all of his. We'll come back to it at a later date. But he's trying to argue that the most popular class is the PHRF keelboats, and something that it's at least 40 foot long. You know, he's suggesting that you need to have air conditioning, you need to have gensets on the boat, you've got to have 45-pound anchors, at least 32 cushions on the boat in original factory condition, freezers, 15 bags of ice, 2 cases of Sailor's Lager in the fridge, 3 cases in reserve in the bilge somewhere, 1 case on the deck in a cooler filled with ice, 2 bottles of dark rum, ginger beer, rainbow spinnakers get a 6 second per mile added to removed from their rating. So he's quite serious about it. And the best bit is he said for the start sequence, you're not allowed to use a countdown watch. So what you've got to use is Wagner's Flight of the Valkyries, which is exactly 5 minutes long. So at the warning signal, you hit play. And it goes on and on and on, but it's a great email. But we'll come back to it because I don't agree with his view that keelboat's the best off the beach boat. We're looking for off the beach.
No, they struggle off the beach.
But his view that he's
putting forward an argument.
But it is the class that brings the most people into our sport. That event, yes. And I think he could be right there. You know, particularly from an adult.
It's actually a very good point, Jack.
Yeah,
very good point. I mean, big boats do bring a lot of people into sailing. I mean, that's how it is. And when the amount of people who, you know, go into big boats and have never experienced dinghies, we'd love for them to get into a dinghy and have a go.
Yeah,
but you're right. You're definitely right.
Yep. So we'll talk about that later on when the other bloke comes back. And I will just say, for those of you wondering where Nick Bice is, we said at the start of the show we hadn't heard from him. Well, we recorded the interview with Nico a day ago. And we still haven't heard from Bitesy. So by the magic
I'm actually a little bit concerned.
By the magic of editing, it sounds like it's all one day, but we have no idea where he is.
We've got no photos of his little campsite because normally he sends a campsite photo through of the kids running around in the campfire and about, you know, an esky, and got nothing. Maybe he is right out in the middle of nowhere.
Oh, he's gone. He's disappeared. I do want to mention, I don't know if you noticed, BP, but I do have a soft spot for the 505. Have you ever picked up on that?
The what?
Yeah, exactly.
Is that a boat? Or?
Yeah, it's a boat. It's the best off the beach bloody dinghy, all right? Let's just forget that whole argument. If you are into the 50s, there has been launched a podcast specifically for 50s called the 505, as in the numbers or the letters, the numbers 505 cast. So Dave Kilpatrick is putting that together. So it's a US-based one. So for you simple folk, it should be good. No. Just joking. That's she's a cracker. So listen in if you want to chase a bit of 505 information, because who wouldn't? And keep going. Cool with that?
Yeah, well, yeah, I think it's fantastic, and I mean, we do love talking about 5Os, isn't it? I was only joking. I do know what they are. I've never sailed one. Would you believe? Never.
Oh, BP.
I've got leverage. I'm pretty tall.
We can fix that. We can fix that very, very quickly. Quirky will be on the phone in a minute. We'll give you a ride.
Quirky. Yeah, I'll have a go with that.
The world
No
president
worries.
of the class will be ringing up in minutes.
So just while we're talking about classes, the Taser state titles are on, and I just wanted to mention this quickly, Jay. It's, again, not on the run sheet.
The New South Wales state titles.
New South Wales state titles.
we're fans of.
They've actually got a bunch of our sailors lager up there, and they're going along at the moment. The results are still cruising. Obviously, we've got another day tomorrow, but James Berman has put in a big effort to get our beer up there, and they're battling it out with a couple of races to go. Hugh Tate and them are tied for the lead going into today. So exciting going on there in the Taser fleet. So a big shout out to those guys up there at the lake, battling it out for the New South Wales state titles.
Yeah, we are quite a fan of the Taser class because it's sort of that often you get boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, families, you know. It's been around a long time. They have a good attitude on the water, so yeah, good on them, and it's a world class, so people enjoying that.
And they've got a bunch of sailors lagers up there.
They do have a bunch of sailors lagers. I think that's kind of us for the show. I did want to mention, I don't know, did you see the carbo race the other week in the US where
I've seen some footage as well.
Yeah, Roy Disney's Pie Wacket smashed the race.
My God,
record.
yeah. What a great looking race.
Yeah. Absolutely. That's the old blackjack. It was the Volvo 70 blackjack here in Queensland, and it ended up going. I can't remember what blackjack was before off the top of my head.
Blackjack. You've just reminded me about blackjack.
Oh yeah, the Brisbane to Gladstone. Yeah. So I did the commentary.
Okay, go on. Sorry, go on now.
Oh, I just wanted to congratulate Roy Disney and his team in the Pie Wacket. They did a great job. They've got a great boat there, and those 70s are still magic boats. Everyone loves them.
I love them. Yeah. If you ever get a chance to get on a 70 and someone offers you to go for a ride, even if it's just sitting there on the back of the boat, just go for it. It is something to you will enjoy it.
So the Brisbane to Gladstone was this weekend. Just happened. Basically near where I live, and it's a 304 nautical mile race, and the standard wind direction is southeast at this time of year. It's normally 8 knots southeast is basically what you get at this time of the year, but and your course is due north, and you go about 200 miles due north, and then you turn left and you head northwest. So effectively, you know, your last 100 odd mile is dead downwind, and so you basically do a long reach and then dead downwind, and you got a nice rolling swell off the top of Fraser Island there where you can really have some fun. But this week's edition, it started in 25 knots and it just built and built and built to probably 35. We're seeing gusts up to 40. And
it's a big squall, yeah.
Yeah, the fleet was decimated. Most of the fleet, a lot of the fleet got retired. Blackjack lost her rig.
Big story.
Yep.
Big story. We're going to get to the bottom of this one. I have had some comms with Knocker.
Yeah.
Thankfully, everyone is safe.
Absolutely.
But, we don't exactly know what happened just yet, but that's a big rig to go over the side.
That's a lot of money in the bottom of the ocean for that one, and sad. But what I will say, the overall winner on IRC is a boat called Wistari. Now, Wistari has sailed in this race 51 times. That boat has sailed in this race 51 times. It's a Gladstone boat, sailed by Gladstone sailors, and the guys that sail that boat are red-hot sailors. You put them, they jump in the VX and they're right there.
What sort of boat is it?
Hang on. I'm going to have to check.
It doesn't matter. If it's 51, if it's done 51 events, it's up there for age-wise. As Jordan scuttles through his information.
It's quite the boat. So Wistari, it's a Patrick 35.5. So built by the late Noel Patrick, a renowned Gladstone jeweller, and launched in 1965. It's still based in Gladstone, but it's owned by his son Scott now. So 51.
35.5.
Patrick. It was designed by the old man, basically. The kids are sailing it, and the old man designed it, and they built it. And it loves heavy wind downwinder, which is what we've got. Yeah, so she's she had a win. So
Fantastic.
Congratulations to those lads. They'd be pretty excited. So I think that's all our news for this week, mate. It's been a massive week.
Yeah, no, it has been. I think just before we go, I'm going to touch on the Estrels.
Oh, yes, go for it.
Touch on the Estrels before we go. And we've had a massive response to last week. I'm talking huge, and I'm talking about numbers are through the roof, even for the episode itself. It has broken all records in our weekly back office statisticians are going absolutely nuts with it all. But look, we really want to put the invitation out there for someone who's interested in talking from, with a point of view that, probably puts it in perspective from, we don't want to say the other side, but, this is a definite big situation. There's a lot of things going on. There's a lot of things behind the scenes. There's a lot of things that, I guess, a lot of misconceptions. There's a lot of conceptions. That's what we want to say. Joe, you want to help me out there? We've
had some emails. We've had some intense emails. I've been in a car with a bloke for a few hours who owns 2 Mould 11 boats and listened to his side of the story. We've had some serious emails. Again, we don't have a side in this. I'd like to be as professional and clear as we can be. So we've had a lot of quite angry emails. We've had a lot of really strongly positive emails. A couple of for the angry ones, we've tried to ask if they'd like to come on the show and put their point of view, and everyone sort of said no. So people are happy firing the emails behind the scenes, but we've got open invites to somebody who can state, I guess, the other view, because there's some people think that we're a bit favourable to the Mould 11. We were trying to be favourable to the right outcome for the class, and that's what we want. But if somebody we want to have we want both sides of the argument on. So we're still chasing that other side. And, I just wish they could
see what happens.
I just want it to be simply resolved and everyone be happy. I just want people sailing and being happy. That's all I care about.
We do too. That's exactly what we want. You're 100% right.
That's why we created Sailors Lager.
Well, that's right, because that's what it does.
Exactly.
But we don't want to have to supply Sailors Lager to half a fleet here and half a fleet up there. We want to supply Sailor Lager to the entire fleet. Anyway, so that's the invitation. So, if anyone out there wants to have a chat, we would love to hear from you. As you know, it's there's a lot going on due to the responses we've had and the just the amount of listens we've had. So I think that the invitation's there.
Yeah, and if you want some Sailors Lager, reach out. We've got a little bit left, and I'm probably the worst on my part. So please, if you're in Queensland, just definitely hit me up.
Help Jordan out, please. I've just received another 40 cartons down in Sydney, so I think I've sold a bunch today, so that's all good. But no, listen, we're all over the beer too.
Yeah, good times. All right, mate. Well, it's a cracking week. The 100th episode. It's an absolute travesty that Bitey wasn't here with us. Such an important part of our team of 3. And but yeah, we had a good time without him, hey?
Well, yeah, sort of.
Yeah. Anyway.
No, of course we did. But anyway, it's not the same without you, Bitey. Come on, we want you home. Come on.
And thanks to the great Nico for joining us on our 100th episode.
Yes, and Mark Turnbull. Thank you, everyone.
All right. See you, everyone. Have a good one.
Bye.
Any truth you're doing a pop version of this for 101st episode?
Pop version? Yeah. Like an Unson's version.